Welcome to the Stories That Sparkle. I'm Hella Rader, and today's episode is such a treat. Despite still being very much in the thick of grief, Tara was so determined to share this story with all of us. Drove from western Nebraska all the way to this eastern part of Nebraska, Plattsmouth, to record with me and to share her story, which is her daughter Naomi's story as well, about fight and grit and perseverance, and how when we are willing to dig through the mountain, we might just find our voice. It's a real honor and privilege for me to be able to put it out here and bring it to all of you. She continues to inspire me every day. It is also the 13th episode of the Discoball Tour and the second recording that I did in Nebraska, in Plattsmouth, with Sheri by a lake, or surrounded by cornfields. I mean, y'all, we did a lot in 48 hours. So thank you again to Sheri for her hospitality. Thank you again for Tara for coming all that way. Really excited to invite you to get comfortable, sit back, and listen in. I'm Hella Rader. With a good sense of humor, an open heart, and an open mind, I love to explore the very human complexities in others and in myself. That's why I created a space for women you have never heard of and could easily pass on the street to share in their own voices the intricacies of starting over in life, building community, inhabiting their bodies, and more. Welcome to our Discoball, the stories that sparkle. Okay, Tara. Was hilariously technical difficulties because user error. So we're just gonna trust that. All right, so y'all, I'm here with Tara. We're still in Nebraska. Tara is Sheri's niece, and yes. She drove 5 hours from western Nebraska to meet me here. Just down the road.
Just down the road.
Yeah, and we've been chatting for a minute, and I didn't hit record. So we're just trusting that there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
But we did talk about, I just want to recap a little bit and get us to where we were. We shared a moment about having been married and then divorced and going to weddings and feeling like the lady who got it wrong or messed up or something like that. That's how I felt. But Tara, you met your husband, your current husband there.
Yes.
Of several years. He's your husband.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it worked out.
It did.
Yeah. All things work the way they're supposed to at the end of the day, right?
It is just so hard when you're in the trenches, but when you can look hindsight.
Yeah, right. It's always like, oh yeah, like 10 years ago, when I can look back over the last 10 years, I'm like, yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
In the moment, not so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we had established that Tara has 2 kids at the moment, an 11-year-old daughter from your first marriage, a 4-year-old wild man son who's gorgeous and wonderful. And we did talk about that in between.
Yeah, I had Naomi and Huck in between.
Right. Yeah. So Naomi would be 7 years old this October, right? Yes. Right. So we had gotten to the place where you were with Huck, right? At what was it, 13 weeks?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then we lost Huck shortly after. We didn't know why we lost Huck, and then shortly after we got pregnant with Naomi. And everything through the pregnancy until about like 24 weeks looked normal. And then we lost fluid, and the fluid in the womb is the urine of the baby. And we went to Children's Hospital in Denver because I kept going into preterm labor. And after an MRI with her, we could see these massive organs, and those were her kidneys. The geneticist came in and talked to us and said that we have autosomal recessive polycystic kidney disease, which is like 1 in 100,000. And then it has to be a perfect, like Luke is a carrier of the recessive gene, and I am also a carrier of the recessive gene. So we're like the perfect storm, which is very rare. And then we went into a room, intimidating, like my first time in a room of a panel of doctors. And we had a nephrologist, you know, the neonatologist, the high-risk doctor, a bunch of nurses, the ICU floor. I mean, there's so many people in that room. And they told us, you know, this is autosomal recessive polycystic kidney disease. Most of these babies don't make it. And it's not necessarily because of the kidneys acutely. It's because their lungs aren't developed, because they don't practice breathing in the womb, because there's no fluid for them to do that at the time that they need to. And they basically said, you know, you can terminate the pregnancy, or, you know, we could have the baby, you could die in your arms, kind of thing. And then they just left it at that. And I remember, and I should have said this earlier, but I remember like the nephrologist, which is the kidney doctor, he followed us for the first few years of Naomi's life. And he was like, yeah, I mean, he's just a very blunt man, which I can respect in a doctor, because I don't want any fluff. Like,
Yeah, like
what's
just
that?
give it to me straight.
Yeah, and he was like, this is so advanced, there's no way, you know, like, I mean, we like a challenge. I just remember him thinking it was humorous to be like, we like a challenge. And
Right.
I just looked at him and I'm like, you, buddy, like, I like a challenge too. And if you're my challenge.
You're my
like,
challenge right now. My challenge is to not wring your neck.
Right. And I know, I just feel, and that fish out of water, like you said before. And then we drove home and we're trying to decide what we wanted to do. And it's a 3-hour drive. And by the time we got home, we decided, all right, we're going to fight with her as long as she wants to fight. Like, I want her to die in my arms.
Right.
I want that moment, not just for me, but for her.
And because you also, we were talking about before, you also live like essentially with all of the fam, or like in walking distance, or short drive distance.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole compound, like a spread out compound of aunts, uncles, grandparents.
Yes, very, very close. Oh, I would say that the adults in my family, it was like more of like a working relationship. You know, like they all farm together. And I don't know if you met Nebraska farmers. Like,
No.
It's a different.
No.
It's not a lot of hugging. It's not a lot of motion. It's just like, get to work. Get your chores done before you go to school. You know, like
Right.
your animals eat first. Like I remember Christmas morning, like every Christmas morning, like you got to get your chores done before we can open presents. Like that's just how. That's the mentality that we grew up in.
It's also direct livelihood. But I guess as a kid, you're like, what's going on here? You don't understand that, obviously, but yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, because, one of the things Sheri and I ended up talking about is like belonging and home and what is home. And for her, she was like, I'm out of here. Like the minute she graduated high school, like, peace out. This is not where I feel at home at this time in my life, for sure. Out here on the farms.
Yeah.
So was that similar for you?
Yes, I was really homesick for my grandmother when I moved away. Not that I don't. I love and cherish my parents very, very much, but I was really, really close with my grandma, who was right up the road, which is Sheri's mom. And but I was also the same way. Like, I want to be far away enough that I don't have to deal with this lifestyle anymore. Like, I want to experience the rest of the world and not just be in this little space for the rest of my life. And thankfully, I worked really hard in school, so I ended up going to a somewhere that was far away enough, and but also still a day drive of 7 hours.
Right. You could get home.
Exactly.
Down the road.
Exactly, down the road. And actually, I did that drive so much. So when I moved back to western Nebraska, I was co-parenting with my ex-husband, my oldest dad, and he still lived there, and I was living in western Nebraska. So on Fridays and Sunday mornings, like Sunday nights, I would make that drive, 7 hours down, 7 hours back.
Wow.
3 weekends a month. I did it when I was pregnant. I did it when Naomi was in the hospital as a baby. Like, I did that drive so much. Like, it felt like nothing,
Wow.
So coming here today, I was like, meh.
Whatever. It's no big
Sleep
deal.
5 hours.
I got this.
Yeah.
Well, you were also sharing yesterday when you got here that you drove like 2 hours in silence. I do that when I drive long distance. I actually prefer to have no sound. It's like I can think or something.
Yes, yes. The drive is actually probably a means of therapy for me. It's just I have no other distractions besides the road.
Right.
And in western Nebraska, that's not a lot of traffic. That's not a lot of
No.
distraction.
No. It was interesting because I was happiest between Denver and Lincoln because there was no traffic. Like Denver was crazy traffic.
Yes, Denver's awful.
And even once I got close into Lincoln, it was suddenly like, what's happening? But in between, it was delightful because there was no traffic.
Yes.
It was amazing.
Like you're like driving through the cow habitat, you know? Like you live with cows and like that's like home for me. So, I don't know. Like,
it's very soothing.
It is.
It's a beauty. And there's a beauty to it that I find... I found surprising. I was like, oh, I didn't think I would find this flat, wide open cornfields, cows situation as beautiful as it really, soybeans, as it really ends up being to me. I was like, wow, this is quite stunning.
I love it because you can see for miles and miles and miles into the horizon. And like when I get to a really like, I call it like a squatchy place where there's trees everywhere and I can't see past the trees, I feel claustrophobic because I grew up in like wide open, you know? Yeah. So that, I-80 is a pretty drive.
Yeah. So, okay, so they basically gave you this info like, hey, you can decide if you want, but she's probably not going to make it. So you and your husband Luke decide we're going to fight. We're going to let her fight it out. And we're going to fight with her as long as she wants to fight.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was where we got to. But then you went into early labor again.
Yes.
And they airlifted you to Denver, right?
Yes. And whatever, my body was rejecting her. And I was so stressed, I think, about probably the idea of losing her that they told me ultimately I probably had like broken heart syndrome and it caused me to have troponin and the heart damage. And they wanted to do a bunch of tests on me, but it was going to be hard on her kidneys. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't, like, it's too much right now. Like, if I'm still having cardiac problems after she's born and after she's passed, like, fine, we'll look into it. Like,
Right.
And they're like, well, her kidneys already don't work, so it's really not that big of a deal. You know how doctors are. And I don't know, something was just telling me, like, no. Like, just let me have this time with her before I birth her and she dies, like this is all I have left is like she was saran wrapped in there. So, cause she had no fluid, so I could see her little hand and I could see her little face. And
Yeah. Take your time.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It was, like the feeling of you're gonna lose her. But like still just having it, just me and her in the hospital room was like, it was special.
Right.
Little did I know I was going to have a lot of time with her, just me and her in the hospital room.
Right.
Thankfully.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, no, I mean, I also hear your fight. I mean, because I'm struck by the broken heart syndrome. I've never heard that before. I work on somatic. I'm being trained to be a somatic practitioner, which is all about where we hold things in our bodies.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so interested in that, actually.
Yeah.
We'll have to have a talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. But so when you said that, I was like, because I feel like my whole family has heart issues, and I feel like it's really a broken heart.
Yeah.
I have heart issues, and I'm working on it, so I'm hoping I can, quote unquote, heal some of that enough, right? That it might even have an impact in a positive way medically. But
yes, I believe in that so much.
So I heard in there, because the whole thing, like you had Huck, but you didn't even have a minute really, and then you're pregnant again, and then now this pregnancy has all this going on. So like, I could just feel your heart must be just like, I cannot. And I also hear in there though, and I want as much time here. Just like I heard just give me a minute, yo, like back off.
Yeah.
back off. Like it was a very mama bear response I'm hearing there.
I learned that I am quite the mama bear.
Right, quite fierce. Yeah, I hear a very strong, fierce woman in there in a good way. Like, I mean that in the best possible way.
Which was a radical change for me because...
Oh, that was new.
Yes. In my prior marriage, I was very submissive, I was submissive and not confrontational and fearful of speaking up or speaking out. And when I had Naomi, it's almost as though I turned into someone else, you know, like a phoenix. You know?
Like she brought some strength or something.
Absolutely, she did. And her whole life she did for everyone around her.
Right. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so you're in the Denver hospital. You're there for several weeks, right?
Yeah, 6 weeks or 7. I can't remember.
Right. You're surrounded by a bunch of other ladies who are also there on bed rest, who are in various states of early difficult pregnancy situations, high risk situations. And there's a woman who wants you to join them for some sort of group situation.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I'm not interested.
Yeah. So she's just this sweet little lady. And I can't even remember her name. There's so much of this stuff that I think my memory just pushes down. I just don't remember.
Sure.
But she was so kind, and she asked me multiple times to join this sewing group with the rest of these moms. And I finally gave in. I don't know if it was out of boredom or... I don't know. I'm usually pretty open to experiencing things, so I walk down there, more like I wobble down there.
Right. You're like, fine, lady.
And the last time I had sewn or crocheted anything was with my grandmother, so it was nice to have someone like I could do that with again. And she had us make like little baby blankets and like little baby beds for like NICU babies. So they're like teeny tiny little beds that we sewed together, and we would all talk about like, you know, what their health problems were, like what was wrong with them or what was wrong with their baby. And I kind of kept that to myself because I didn't want to, you know, I don't know, I didn't want to talk about how my baby's going to die right after she's born. You know, I didn't want to be the negative Nancy in the room.
Right.
When they all had so much hope that their tiny babies, you know, we're just going to be in the NICU for a while and just grow. And eventually this little old lady got it out of me, and she makes a quilt square for every single one of her moms that she works with. And mine was a ship. And she was like, sometimes you're on rough water, or, you know, maybe the water's calm and you don't know where the ship is going. And then, gosh, I feel like right after that experience, the next day, the resident doctor that was going to deliver Naomi was like, we're going to do this tomorrow. And I thought I had like another week. So I was like, okay, well, I got my ship. All right. I'm passing through to the next level, I guess.
Right. I guess I'm sailing off now.
Exactly. And she had no idea that I was going to deliver the next day. She doesn't hear any of that stuff. So HIPAA, you know.
Right.
And
oh, because she's just a volunteer who comes in from outside. Wow. So, hey, y'all, this sounds like a really great way to be of service, is to come into hospitals and
it was really nice.
sit with moms.
And if you didn't know how to sew, you know, she taught you how to sew.
Aww.
And like, she was just so patient, and she brought in all of these materials, and I don't know, everyone was like prepping for their sweet little baby boy or little baby girl, and I was just like making a bed. I was like, oh, like my daughter can use this for her dolls, I guess. Yeah. Because I don't know.
Yeah, because at this point you're still operating under the information, assumption, whatever, that you will give birth, hold her, and that will be most likely it.
I don't even know if I was going to get a hold of her.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was a scheduled C-section because the trauma of the birth was going to be too much on her. So it was like, cut her out, get her out. And that's how that day went. It was,
wow.
Yeah.
Intense.
It was very intense.
Right.
Yeah. So that day, I was stressed out because I didn't want to miss her death. And the doctor told me to play this like playlist, like make a playlist. Like he told me that like weeks in advance, or maybe it was one of the moms, I don't remember. And I had this playlist in my headphones because I didn't want to hear all the cutting and pulling, and there were so many people in the room. And I wanted to like block out everything just so I could focus and not freak out. And this song that I put on the playlist was this Phoenix song, and it played the moment that she came out. And they held her up to me, and I looked at her, and I saw her dad, and I was like, another baby. Like, I was not involved in the process. She looks just like her dad. I just remember like, oh my gosh, you're beautiful. And, but because she had kidney disease, she looked like pregnant, you know, like she was just on a big old belly because her kidneys were a pound each. And for an 8-pound baby, like that's huge.
Yeah.
And they took her away, and I had to recover. And Luke went with her, and we got her baptized, and I couldn't leave for a few hours out of the recovery room, so I just thought, you know, that was the only minute that I'm going to have with her.
Right, because before you were, that's why you were saying, like, you wanted to spend all that time with her when she was still in your belly, and you could see your little hands move around and everything. Yeah.
And she actually, they didn't think that she would be able to breathe on her own, and she cried, and she breathed, and she was a force to be reckoned with from the first moment.
Right.
And she surprised them all from the beginning. I mean, they put oxygen on her just so she would be calm, but she was breathing.
I love
on
that.
her
Like,
own.
we have to calm her down.
She was
Wow.
so stinking feisty.
Wow.
My parents were there, my in-laws were there, so they all got to spend time with her, and I was still like in recovery. And then
wow. And so you're in recovery, do you know at this point that she's okay and being feisty and crying and all the things, or are you just like, I'm just here in recovery and I have no idea what's happening out there?
Mostly I had no idea. My mom went down, and then they allowed her to come back up and communicate with me, and they said that she's going to stay overnight, and then they're shipping her to Children's tomorrow if she makes it through the night. And so I knew that I had to stay at the adult hospital, and that now she was going to be even farther away from me.
Oh God.
And actually though, that next day, like, my husband was wheeling me around, you know, I went down there, and I finally got to spend a few hours with her that night after recovery, and she just held my little finger like babies do, and it was my first experience seeing like a baby hooked up to so many things. And I remember like thinking I should be more fearful, but I was sitting there. I wasn't allowed to hold her, but I was just holding her hand, and I felt like someone had their hand on my shoulder. And after that, it was like, I don't know, like I wanted to put like face paint on. Like it was like, I don't know, I felt this feeling of like, okay, it's game on, you know? I have no idea where it came from. God, obviously, but there was nobody standing behind me. It was just me and her in our little pod in the NICU, and I felt no fear after that. I was just emboldened with like, whatever I have to do, like however long it has to be. And I went back to my room, and that next morning, my nurse was like, okay, they're getting ready, like Naomi's being shipped out. And I was like, get me out of here. And she was like, Tara, you can't leave. Like, you can't go back you have to recover. You just had a C-section, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you have any, like, all night I couldn't, like, pee like you're supposed to pee. Like, I couldn't pee. It was so
that's
painful.
the whole test.
And, like, oh, my gosh, it was so horrible. It was such a traumatic night. And my nurse, I think her name was Tuchai, she somehow got permission from the doctors, that got permission from the head doctor, that got permission from the, like, director. I was the first ever patient from the adult hospital to get shipped back to the children's hospital. And they took care of me there, because I was like, I am not going to sit here. You can, like, I will recover without, like, what is it, leave against medical advice? Like, I will, because I'm not going to, my kid's not going to die, and I'm not going to be there. Like,
Right.
I was loud enough, and she was loud enough. She was a feisty little thing. She got us out. She, like, yelled at my brothers, like, you take these things and you take these things. So I, like, lived in the hospital for 6 weeks. So I had so much crap.
And yeah, you're like, I've moved in. This is my apartment.
So they put me in an ambulance, and they hauled me over there.
Wow.
And I arrived at Children's Hospital NICU, which was going to be my home for a very long time. And
wow.
I was just so thankful for her. Like, I wish I could find her and, like, tell her how thankful I am for her, because
Right.
I was still operating under the assumption that my kid only had hours, you know?
Right.
Whew. I haven't talked about that in forever.
Wow.
Or ever.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing it here.
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing I'm hearing a lot of things, but I'm really hearing that, this strength you didn't know you had emerged, and this knowing, like this hand on the shoulder that was like, what, who was that? God. But also like, what? Like, I felt that. Just gave you the courage to use your voice.
Yeah.
And fight.
I feel like, as though I had been beaten down for so many years, and then, I don't know, like, it was like nothing could go right, and it was truly like a metamorphosis of like who I was, and it sounds so cheesy and so ridiculous, but I had to be that for Naomi now, and like,
right.
and then it also carried over into Mia and my oldest, and I'm thankful for that strength that came with her. Like,
right. Like she brought you the strength or something.
She did. She really did. And she did
by,
for her
by
entire
using
life.
her own strength. Her strength gave you strength or something. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
Because she's just this tiny little, rely on everyone baby, and if she can lay there and not be held right after she was born and like just fight against odds, like,
right.
Like, yeah, I'm going to show up. Like, Luke and I were going to be there just as strong as she is. Like, she's the boss now. And, like, that is how we lived for the next 6 years.
Right. So, yeah, I know that, and I know those 6 years had all kinds of ups and downs and more medical this and more emotional that's.
Yeah.
Right. How did you walk through that time? I mean, not only do you have an oldest daughter already, in the middle of that, or at some point early on in there, you also have your son.
Yeah.
Right. How did all of that work for you in terms of, because I mean, this is a lot going on now.
Yeah.
Lots of fighting in a good way, but also, and there's another pregnancy. Like, what was that like, getting pregnant again? Right.
Luke and he stayed with me in the hospital with Naomi until, like maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And then he had to go back to work and he had to watch Mia outside of the hospital. So I was there by myself. I crocheted a lot and I just gave baby blankets to whoever wanted a baby blanket. It kept me, I don't know, focused until a doctor would come in, and then I would stand up. I learned these people are not going to take you seriously unless you show up, you dress up, you put your makeup on, like you stand up in rounds, you show up as the advocate for your child like you are. And like anybody that's a medical parent, like that has a kiddo with multiple medical complexities knows that, or they probably know, I'm assuming they know, like you show up like you are just as important as those doctors because you're the parent of the child. And
like you're showing up for work. Like this is
exactly.
business time.
Yes, this is my job.
I've crocheted a bunch of blankets, but now it's business time.
Exactly.
I'm going to show up and I'm going to go toe to toe with you doctors.
Exactly. If there was ever something that they explained to me that I didn't understand, like I'm a science teacher, but I'm not a doctor,
Right.
I would look it up. I would figure it out so I can ask conscientious questions that are like, and I watched Naomi like a hawk and what they did with Naomi, and I would like write things down and like make sure I knew like what is that drug that you're putting in. Like you don't just get to put it in, like you have to tell me what it is so I know down the road that worked, that didn't work, like everything for me was very strategic, and Luke was even better at that because he could watch, how they ran the equipment because he has like this engineer brain. There was one time a nurse came in, and so because she didn't have kidneys, fast forward, she had surgery 2 days after she was born. They took out one of her kidneys. They put in a peritoneal dialysis catheter. So she was on peritoneal dialysis. shortly, once it healed. She was on blood dialysis before that. We almost lost her, blah, 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 blah. And anyways, he was watching the nurse, and he didn't turn something right on the peritoneal dialysis catheter, and like called a bunch of people in. It was like, all you have to do is turn this. And they're like, you can't touch her. And he's like, all you have to do is turn this thing and it's going to work. And then the nurse must have been new or something. Like we were so locked in.
Right. You're like Hawkeyes.
Exactly. Exactly. But you have to. You have to. I mean, any advice for any medical parent that's like coming into this right off the bat is you don't lay in the room in your pajamas and like lay there depressed. I mean, I know it's hard. I know it would be so easy to just give up, but you have to show up, like, and you have to be positive, and you have to be so aware of your surroundings in that little fishbowl space that you're in. I mean, there's no privacy, but like they're not gonna listen to you, and they're not gonna take you seriously if you don't look like you're someone to be reckoned with. And that's what we did. So she survived through Christmas, and we went home at 5 months. She came back a day later because they put in a G tube, and it dehisced, and she got really, really sick. And it was a medical error, and I don't remember how long we were in there after that. I would say the first 2 years of life, we were for sure in the hospital 90% of the time.
Right. Yeah, so how do you navigate that with, you have an older daughter already, you know, and obviously there's a lot of focus happening over here.
Yeah.
Right. And paying attention and advocating and all the things. So how do you navigate those two different, it's a totally different universe now. There's a daughter at home, there's a daughter in the hospital, in and out, right? How do you navigate that?
So Mia, her dad was still in the Kansas City area. So I would drive from Denver to Kansas City on whatever night it was, and down and back. And so we had a lot of car time together.
Aww.
And we sang a lot of songs, did a lot of dancing, made a lot of fun stops. I had to find that connection with her on the road, because in the hospital room, children's hospitals make it really great for little kids. It's like siblings.
Right.
But there's also times of the year where you can't have siblings in the room. So Luke and I would take turns. We were at the Ronald McDonald House a lot.
Yeah.
And we had to find connection with her the times that we had her. Most weekends she was with her dad. But during the week I would make sure Luke, if Luke was there, he was in the hospital with Naomi, so I could be 100% there for Mia. And then Naomi was half a year old, and she decided, I'm going to get liver cancer. And it was during COVID.
Oh, God.
And I found out that she had liver cancer the same day I found out that I was pregnant with Jude. And I know.
Jeez.
Totally, total surprise for us. And Denver sent Naomi home on hospice. They said that they wouldn't operate on the liver cancer. They wouldn't do anything because she was too fragile. And it took me about 2 days of hearing the word fragile. I'm like, that is not my daughter. She's already had survived so much. And she had strokes. She's at this point, she was legally blind, legally deaf. She never walked. She was in a wheelchair her whole life. The strokes had affected her so much. And they said she'd never be able to see or hear again, and she did. And
wow.
So I was weak is not, fragile is not my baby. So we got another opinion, and we ended up, during COVID, flying back and forth from Stanford. And they did the liver resection, and they did the chemo, and or they started the chemo process, and she survived that too. But it was so funny because I had morning sickness the whole time we were there. Oh my God, yeah. And it was during COVID, so the nurses would look at me when I would go in the bathroom and throw up, because the bathroom is in the room.
Right.
And at one point I had to tell them I am pregnant. I do not have COVID. Please do not put us on isolation again, because when the isolation then was a bubble of plastic, you know, and you were in there for 12 hours, and It was so crazy. So like I would have a pregnancy test and I would like pee on it to prove it
Like
to them.
here,
Like, just don't kick me out.
Yeah, this is what's going on here. I'm not sick. I'm just morning sick. Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, it was so crazy. But we would fly Mia out, and like my in-laws helped with her, and everybody that was in our family community kind of had to step up for Mia.
Right.
And to help Luke out. And
right.
Because I was the one that spent most of the time in the hospital.
Yeah, so it sounds like you have a whole family of people who are fight supporters, or fighters as well, or somehow fighting alongside you in different forms or fashions.
Yeah.
Like community.
Yeah.
Really.
Yes, they were so helpful with all the logistical things on the outside, because when you're in there, gosh, I sound like I'm like in war. Like when you're in there, it is kind of like war. It's really a lonely, like it's a place of solitude. Like it's when you live in the hospital with your kid, like every day is like, what's next? You know, like it's like there's no peace, there's no rest. It's you kind of need people on the outside to help you with the logistical stuff, because it's so trying on your patience, and like it really shows you like what you're really made out of, I guess. That's Naomi. She was so happy all the time. Like, so even like after liver cancer, and they cut her from hip to hip and like removed part of her liver, and she was recovering and going through chemo. Like she was so sick, and like we almost lost her again. And she was just so happy throughout all of it. And I was like, well, she can be happy. Like, we can find happiness in this place that is difficult. And with Mia, like, we always made sure she was talking to a counselor. You know, we wanted to make sure before anything went awry that we had our bases covered. Like, and then Jude was just attached to me.
Right, because he's bored in the middle of all of that, right?
Yeah, so, you know, I would go to doctor's appointments when we went home, and I would have to come back to Denver several times a month. So I have my breastfeeding baby and, like, Naomi, who can't walk or move, or, like, so I had, like, a double stroller. It was like I had twins for the longest time. Because, like, Naomi, because of her diseases, like, she was tiny. Like, she was just this teeny tiny little human. So Jude outgrew her really, really fast, but I just remember carrying both of them and like being in doctor's appointments and like breastfeeding at the same time while still carrying on a conversation with the doctor and like not letting them try to rush things because they thought that I was uncomfortable.
You're like, no, you don't know. Like, you don't seem to know who you're talking to.
Yeah, like I can do all of this, and give me the time and the space. Like, she's very important to me, and to her little brother too, and you know, to all of us. And she overcame everything, and we were fighting for a kidney transplant. Like, that was our next, like, we thought that was like the light at the end of the tunnel, you know, like that's the mountain that we were trying to move, you know, like that we were digging through was to get to that point. And little did we know, like, that mountain was actually just getting her to afterlife, you know, like getting her to heaven. Like, we didn't know that, because you never see what's on the other side of the mountain, right? Like, you don't. Right. You just keep digging and like, I don't know. And now that she's gone, you like miss digging the mountain. Right. Yeah. Because that was my life. Like, that was my identity.
Yeah. I was going to say for like almost 7 years, right?
Yeah.
That's what you were doing 24/7.
Yeah.
While working. Were you still were you working doing all of that?
I went back to work when she was 4, 3. Right. When she was healthy enough that we were out of the hospital and she could recover from, because she kept getting lung infections. When she had a really long spurt for a few years of like
being okay.
Yeah. I felt comfortable enough because I wanted her to have the school experience. Like, she had grown up in the hospital, and I just wanted her to be able to go to preschool and go to kindergarten, and she did, and she was so happy at school.
Aww.
And I was in the same building, so if anything was going to go awry, like I could just run down the hall, you know?
Right. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, she loved her friends very, very much, and they loved her very, very much. So.
Aww. Right. So yeah, no. So I hear that. Like that's who you were for 6.5 something years,
Yeah.
or almost 7 years.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I would imagine there's a grief, not just of her, like losing her ultimately, but also losing your, like a part of who you've been.
Yeah. I mean, we always knew that we would outlive our daughter. I mean,
yeah,
that was the reality of her medical complexities. And we thought, you know, if we were to get a transplant, she would live longer. But we knew that the disease would still affect a new kidney. Like there were so many things that were weighed against her. There's so many complications in all body systems. And we knew that it was going to happen. We just didn't know. You never know like when it's going to be. So you just tell yourself we're going to enjoy every minute that we have, even if it's in a hospital. And it was just like when I was pregnant with her, like just give me all the time. Like I just want all the time. And it was hard for me to send her to school because I could not selfishly just keep her with me all day and stay home with her and Jude all day. And I wanted her to experience life and experience other people. And she got that. And she loved it. And it was beautiful. Yeah. It was, but you miss digging through the mountain. I think that's what I grieve the most. Like, I know that she's okay and she did her life's purpose, you know? But now I have to, like, pick up all those stones that I, like, dug out, and I have to figure out what the heck I'm going to do with all these rocks. Right now, you know, we're only 8 months out. Right now, I just want to take the stones and, like, blow them up and, like, throw them all over the place. And
sure.
I think what I'm being called to do is somehow, like, taking those stones and, like, helping other medical moms climb their mountains and, like, go, but I don't know what that looks like or how that's going to be in my future. So I don't know, just taking everything that I learned from her about grit and kindness and happiness, but also, like, standing up for yourself and, like, being who you really are. And, like, she taught me everything. I mean, like, I am, and all of us around her are because of her. I'm like, I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah. No, I mean, because I remember, seeing pictures of her and things. I mean, she was always smiling. I've never seen her as such a happy person.
Always smiling.
In the face of such adversities. Yeah.
Yes. Like, and if there was an adult that went through half of the medical stuff that she went, like, they would be so miserable, you know? Like, there were so many stories of, she medically died 3 times.
Wow.
And one time she passed, and she didn't technically pass, but she was on max pressors. We went in for, like, a lung checkup, and it stirred up some bacteria on the bottom of her lungs, and she ended up getting really sick. And she was on max pressors. Her feet were black. Her hands were black. I told Luke, like, I think we need to stop, like, because we always agreed with each other that we're both going to know when to stop, and we're never going to torture her. Like, we obviously, like, we're never going to destroy her quality of life, you know. That was very important to us, but we both had to know. Like, we both had to agree. And I told him, you know, I don't think she's going to recover. I don't feel her anymore. And we went out with rounds with the doctors, and I guess when we were out there, the nurse said my backpack flew off of the couch, and my purse, which was on the chair, also flew off the chair. And shortly thereafter, they were going to take her down for, like, an emergency, some kind of scan to, like, look and see if there was something somewhere, a pocket of infection. And she, like, perked up, and she, like, opened her eyes. And Luke and I were not on the same page, so I was like, okay, whatever, we're going to keep fighting. You don't think it's the right time, so it's not the right time. We didn't know about the backpack and the purse until a few days after, and our nurse came and told us. because everybody, like all of the dialysis nurses that we had gotten so close with,
Right.
like they came down and said their goodbyes, and we thought that was that. Like we thought she wasn't going to have feet anymore if she did survive. And I think she was just like, nope, I'm not ready. Like, here I am, I'm back, you know. Like,
ta-da! So what was the, what was it, January or December?
when she passed away.
When she passed away? January, yeah. So what was that, was there a moment where the two of you looked at each other and you were like, yes, this is now the moment?
Yeah, so I had spent a few weeks, like through Christmas, in the hospital with her, and one of the problems with dialysis is you can always get yeast inside of your peritoneum, just long-term dialysis. That's just what happens. We were always ultra clean, and it just doesn't matter. It's just life, right? And she got an infection, and it kind of spread in there. And she usually perks up after a few days of infection, and she wasn't, and she lost her peritoneal catheter, and she had done that dialysis her whole life, and they tried doing blood dialysis, and she was in so much pain. They did it one day, and I had never heard her cry like that. Like, I had never seen that pain on her face before, ever. And she's been through some shit, like so many painful experiences. And I was like, okay, we can't do that. So they put her on a different type of blood dialysis, CRT, and she wasn't perking up. Like, she wasn't perking up, and then she's just like shaking, and she would like look at me, and she would try to smile, but Luke came back for the weekend with the kids, and he was bringing all my stuff for me to stay a longer time. And at this point, the doctor said, she's never going to get a kidney, Tara. Like, we have to figure out, she's probably going to be on blood dialysis because we can't put a PD catheter back in. And we knew that her future was going to be painful. So we were, always an open discussion about when do we stop. And that night before we took her home, I was at the Ronald McDonald House, and Luke was like, this feels different. He's like, you need to come down here. But our kids are at the Ronald McDonald House, so we had to flip-flop like we do. And I laid with her, and I just remember being like, it's okay. Like, we're so proud of you. Like, I just knew. I just knew. And that next morning, or I called Luke that night, and I was like, I'm telling all the doctors. Like, he's like, yeah, it's done. Like, she's not, I think she's suffering. Like, we thought she was completely blind at that point. And she had finally showed us signs that, she was in more pain that wasn't going away. And I just had this urge to, like, get all this stuff off of her. Like, she needs to go home. So the next morning, my old nephrologist, she came in and was like, started barking orders, basically. And she wasn't even the doctor. It was like, she wasn't even her patient at this time. And she's like, they know that she needs to go home. Like, and you have to do so much paperwork.
Oh, yeah, it takes forever.
Home, like, and we had to go across state lines. And so I just felt like it was like a ticking, like, all of these minutes mattered so much. And like, both of us felt this like urgency, extreme urgency. And we packed up the Ronald McDonald House so fast, like all of our stuff in there. We had been living there for a month, like all of our Christmas presents were in there, like everything. And we just packed it up so fast. And they finally got everything unhooked, and I put her in her wheelchair and rolled her out to the car. And like, there was no way we were going to like let her ride in her wheelchair. So her and I we have a handicap van. So her and I just laid on the floor all the way home. And she kept putting her arm up in the air. And so her dad would grab her hand, and then she'd put her arm back down. And she and I like finally slept. I feel like we hadn't slept in days. And we live on a dirt road, and we hit the dirt road in the van. And she looked at me, and it was like, I'm home.
Yeah, thank you for bringing me home.
And I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
My daughter, my oldest, was like, Mom, we got to give her a bath because bath time is her favorite. She can never be submerged in water because of her catheter, but this time we could. And we gave her a bath, and she looked like she had been through battle.
Yeah.
And she got her bath, and she was peaceful. And we just laid with her in bed in the hospital. The only song that she wanted on her iPad was Under the Sea. It was a Little Mermaid song. No, it's like, I want to be where the people are, you know? And so we played that song, and it was so perfect. Like she fell asleep, and she looked at me, and I thought I saw fear for a second when she was taking her last breaths. And then she was calm, and it was so perfect for her that we could give her that, you know, and she could be home and not dying in a hospital. And it was so beautiful. And it reminds me of one of her NICU nurses in the beginning was like, everybody deserves a beautiful birth and a beautiful death. Right. And
yeah,
I was just so thankful that we made it home because it was only a few hours, you know.
Yeah.
And because they said it would be, you know, a few days, like 4 to 5 days, that she would probably survive without dialysis. And no, like, I'm so glad that Luke and I have always had this, like, intuition with her.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing the connectedness with her, with you and your husband, with your other kids, with the whole family. Like, there's this, like, radiating circle of connectedness that I'm hearing, and strength.
Yes. She was so good at that with everyone. You know, like even people that followed us on Facebook. Like I always posted the story because I'm like, if I can get 100 people to pray for her, if I can get 200 people to pray for her, like I believe in that. Like I believe in like positive intention. I believe in prayer. I believe in, it's supernatural. And so I would post her story, and I never ever posted all the details because, you know, that would be intense. But so the last post that I made was a few minutes before she passed away, and I was just telling everybody that we made it home and that we were just gonna die at peace at home. And I still hear a story, like people will come up to me or people will say things to me. I have no idea who they are, right? And they just feel like, she inspired me through this time in my life, or she did this through this time in my life, or I stopped believing in higher power until I read Naomi's story. Like, there's so many things that just this tiny little 6-year-old, like, with a booming smile, like, and so somehow all of us have to have that strength that she had. Because I know that's why she was ours. So. Right. It sucks, but.
Yeah. Well, wow. Well, thank you so much, Tara, for sharing all of that here. And sharing that strength. Like, I see this very soft woman who's very fierce.
Thank you.
And that's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's really beautiful and inspiring. And I'm so glad that you found your fight with her.
Yeah.
Through her. And what a gift.
Gosh, who knew I was going to be this stinking emotional? Good golly.
Right? I'm crying too. So, you know.
I guess I really haven't really talked about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, thank you for doing that here with me. And
thank you. Thank you for giving me this space.
Yeah, of course. It's my honor. So, and I'm glad I could. And, we'll talk more about how people can maybe reach out to you.
Okay.
If they need support or, you know, or whatever. right? And if they're a medical parent, I love that term. I don't love the term, what it means for them, but I mean, I love that term in terms of like, right, that's what you become as a medical parent when you're dealing with this.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to know about that. So I think you do have a lot to offer there.
Thank you. I hope that someday we can.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is a start.
Yeah.
This is a start, I think.
Cool.
I think this is the beginning.
Thanks for giving me the platform.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being patient with my lack of hitting record. But clearly the story that needed to be on the record is on the record.
Yes, so. I believe that too.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for listening to The Stories That Sparkle, a space I created for women to share in their own voices the intricacies of their stories. And man, that end, whew, yeah, seriously, big thank you to Tara for her vulnerability, for still being in the thick of grief and being so determined nonetheless to want to share her story and really also Naomi's story. I mean, listening back to it, every time I get the goosebumps and the chills and get re-inspired to keep motoring on and digging through any kind of mountain that may be in front of me. So hope it brings y'all some inspiration, motivation, strength, courage, whatevs you may need today. So yeah, Naomi lives on through her story and through Tara's willingness to share that story. Also, I did confirm with Tara, she is more than happy for y'all to reach out to her if you are a medical parent and need support. She is more than happy to connect with you. I have put her Facebook link in the show notes, so you can find that there. Thank you to Tara and all of Naomi's family, and also to Sheri for making this possible. And now for some housekeeping. Please do me a favor, pass this podcast, this episode, the podcast in general, on to 2 friends, just 2, and invite them to listen, download, subscribe, all the things. Go to my Substack, hellarader.substack.com, and become a free or paid subscriber and keep up with all the happenings and all the new releases and all the things. And if you have a story you want to share or a topic you would like me to cover in an episode of the podcast, drop me a line to hellarader@substack.com, because together we bring light into dark places.